Hey Bruce, hey Danielle, this is Lori with Soul Sisters Digital Design. Thanks for meeting with me this morning over at your at the Brew Shed. It was wonderful kind of getting to meet y'all and also hear about the Brew Shed and how it came to be and kind of what your plans are. I wanted to go ahead and get this video out to you and to show you how your business is stacking up against your competition online. And it will also give you some steps you can take to improve things. Some of the stuff we covered today, this morning when we were chatting, but this will be something that you can go back and look at as you have time. So really, as Google crawls the web, it is looking for three things: content, citations, and backlinks. So those are the things I'm going to talk about today. So content is really just referring to the words and images on your site. Now, Google likes to see between 1,500 and 2,000 words, kind of at a minimum on the page, to give it a really good idea of what you do, where you are, all that kind of good stuff. And then also to be able to get in keywords. So the exact amount of content is really going to depend on the competition and how many keywords you want to use to get your message across. So what is a keyword? A keyword is anything someone might type into Google looking for a particular service or product. So let's look at what one might look like. So I went over to my Chrome browser and typed in taproom, because that's obviously what you guys do. I can see where you're running an ad right now, a Google ad for the Brew Shed. And the first thing that comes up is this map pack, right? So the top 3 businesses on here will get the most traffic. Really, the way to get into this top 3, you got to have obviously a Google business profile, which you do. You need to make sure it is filled out as completely and accurately as possible. And you need to have your name, address, and phone number listed in as many relevant directories on the web as possible. So every time you do that, it's considered a citation. And the more times that happens, the more your brand begins to be found by Google all over the web. The larger that online presence is, the more Google trusts you. You also obviously need to have some good reviews, amount of reviews as well as score. And you guys are off to a good start with 25. You're at a 4.9 score, so that's all great. We talked a bit about citations. I did go ahead and run a citation kind of tracker on you. I'm going to attach it to the email when I send you off to this video. Kind of gives you an idea of where you're showing up. It's not perfect, but it gives you an idea of some of those major citations that you're seeing. So below the map pack is what we call the organic listing. So organic just means not paid. Ideally, you want to be in the top 3 here as well. The top 3 of, if you can get in both the top 3 of the organic listing as well as the map, that's going to be the sweet spot where you get the majority of the traffic. The top 3 of those really see about 75 to 85% of the traffic for any given search term. So right below that, we've got Ponte Vedra taproom. That's a little bit a ways away, so I'm not really going to look at that so much. And this is obviously just a definition. Craft Beer Joe, that looks like it's more of a blog. But I did see Macoma Beer. So Macoma Beer seems like and that's one you mentioned, is very much a competitor. So I'm going to take a look at them. And I'm also going to take a look at Disco Witch, because that was another competitor. Now I've got your website pulled up here. First of all, I love the kind of ambiance of it. I love the look. You do have a lot of kind of stock photos, which we had talked about. Always better to have actual photos of your stuff if you can. And I know that that's the one thing that you guys are planning on kind of swapping out as time goes on. Now, I did go ahead and plug into a word counter just to see where you were. And you guys are sitting at about 419 words on that home page. So obviously there's some room to grow there. And you can see that some of the keyword density, beer is one of them. Makes sense. Home brewing makes sense. Brew, craft, all of those kinds of things. Those make sense for the kind of stuff that you're doing. But when I'm analyzing a website, one of the things that I do is I use a tool called RFs to kind of give me an idea of what it's being found for. So when I plug in your website to this tool, I can actually see that you're not really getting any traffic at all right now. So So 0 traffic through the entire domain. It's not really being found for any keywords. And you remember we talked about backlinks, which I'll get to in a second, but backlinks don't have that many of those either. But if I look at Macoma, and I look at those same stats for them, what I can see is that they're getting 102 visitors per month on average, and those visits are being driven from 264 keywords. So I can actually drill down and take a look at what those keywords are. And we want to look for ones that are somewhat buyer intent. For example, brewery Amelia Island. People are probably looking for a brewery on Amelia Island. Well, that search term is being used 200 times per month. Macoma is coming in at the 8th spot. So in that top 10, not the top 3, but at least the top 10. And because it's a relatively high volume keyword and they're relatively high in the searches, they're getting 10 visits per month for that term alone. Now, something else I might look at might be Amelia Island Brewery. So that's being searched 30 times a month. They're in the 14th spot for that. So really anything past 10, you're probably not going to get much traffic at all, especially if it's a low volume. And that pays off here or lends itself here. They're not getting any traffic for that. But these are words that are starting to pick up. If we look at Disco Witch, we can see that they are getting about 158 visits per month, driven off of 40 keywords. And a lot of their keywords, though, are not necessarily what I would call buyer intent. In other words, they're not necessarily something that is people are focused on finding what they do. A lot of them have to do with their name. A lot of them have to do with just witch or beer or witchcraft, things like that, because they've got like a catchy name. But there's not a ton of these that are going to get them a lot of traffic. And you can see over here, obviously they're in the number 1 spot for Disco Witch Brewing, which is their name. That is being searched 400 times per month. So people are hearing about it and they're searching it out, and that's getting them 142 visits. So the majority of their traffic is being driven strictly by their name. Now, the last piece of the ranking puzzle is what we talked about this morning, is what we call backlinks. So a backlink is really anywhere on any website that's links back to another one via clickable or hyperlink text. So these links will act as an endorsement of your website from other websites and other businesses that Google uses to build trust, because it sees these other businesses and organizations vouching for you. It's kind of like a popularity contest. You would think that the one with the most wins, but that's actually not the case, because not all links are created equal. So those that are relevant to your website will count more, as will those that are local. Ideally, of course, you want them to be powerful on their own right as well. But to give you an example, maybe there is a pizza shop owner who loves coming to the Brew Shed, so he decides to throw a link onto your website, or to your website from his. Google may not make that connection. They don't know that he loves the Brew Shed and what you guys offer. Versus, let's say you have a link coming in from a beer manufacturer. Well, that makes a lot of sense, right? Google can make that connection. So it is going to weight the backlink coming from that beer manufacturer more than it would from that pizza shop. So again, you want links that are local, you want links that are relevant, and you want links that are local. So one of the ways to judge kind of what that backlink profile is I go back to this tool. And because things are not created equal, rather than looking at the number of backlinks, I really look more at these scores. So both of this DR and UR score are on a scale of 0 to 100. The DR is really kind of talking like over the entire domain, how strong is that backlink profile? So you're sitting at a 4.4. And for your specific URL, so for the home page, because that's what I've got plugged in there, what is the strength of that backlink profile? And you're sitting at about a 6. If I look over at Macoma, I can see that they have a lot of backlinks. Their domain is pretty high. They're sitting at a 32 out of the score at a 0 to 100, and a 7 for this back page taproom. And for Disco Witch, they're sitting at a 6 and a 12. So again, it really comes down to the quality of those backlinks, the relevancy, etc., as to how powerful or how effective that backlink profile is for you. But it's really when all of these things come together, so the backlinks, the citations, the content, that's when you start ranking higher and higher because your presence gets more widespread. Google trusts you more. It's all of those kinds of factors that come into play, which will help your website be found, and that's when customers find you. I hope this information's been helpful. Always love hearing feedback about it. Please let me know if you have any suggestions or things that you would like to hear. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and put together that research that I talked about, and I'll reach out once I have all of that done, and we can sit down and basically figure out what's realistic for the business and what it might take to reach some of the goals that you guys have. So again, my name is Lori with Soul Sisters Digital Design. My number is 352-235-9803. Thanks so much for watching. Really enjoyed meeting y'all and look forward to talking to you more.